Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Before we get into it, I've got to say thank you for this channel. The launch has been more successful than I ever would have thought. Your support's been amazing. I don't think I felt better about what I do in a long time, so I'm inspired to do a lot more. So like, subscribe. The faster we can grow this channel, the faster I can bring on additional people to make it bigger and better and bring more content. So tell your friends, sub, thank you for all your support, and let's get into the video. So we have yet more Activision-Blizzard news with their stock plummeting and a looming securities fraud investigation. Now, the former is expected, and while the latter may seem surprising, it really isn't when you actually look at who is behind it, and also given the incentive structures of the modern world and how these things tend to operate. Now, as I recently covered, Bungie have ceased their 10-year contract with Activision, with Bungie now retaining full rights to the Destiny IP and both parties going out of their relationship 2 years before the contract was supposed to end. Now, this relationship between the two companies had never been particularly great from the start, with it seeming like Bungie's need to hit rigid funding milestones was a bit of a spanner in the works for the development of Destiny. But of course, Bungie were always an independent studio. It was just that they happened to have a very comprehensive contract for the Destiny franchise with Activision, and now they can develop that as much as they want in their own terms, of course, in addition to whatever comes from their $100 million investment deal with NetEase. On the whole, it couldn't be better for Bungie, but for Activision-Blizzard, it does spell short-term trouble. Now, Blizzard Entertainment's performance has not been particularly stellar as of late, and neither has Activision. Now, before we go onwards to the new ground, I need to make something really clear. I've seen loads of comments wishing that Blizzard Entertainment would be free from Activision. Now, in spirit, I'm totally with you there, but I can see how people would think that, as if Activision-Blizzard is the marrying of the two. But the way that it actually works is that Activision-Blizzard is a parent company. Activision-Blizzard is above Activision, the game publisher, and Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard Entertainment and Activision are on the same level, so both here, under the umbrella of Activision-Blizzard. So all of this has caused Activision-Blizzard's stock to dip significantly from the already rather low 51.35 down to 45.48, but it has since stabilized to 46.54, so overall about a 9 and a bit decrease in value. Now, these numbers will change over time, and being honest, they likely will recover a bit. You see, panic selling based on immediate news drives a stock down. That's actually really predictable, and it's something that is used by swing traders. Now, to be clear, I've done some swing trading myself, mostly for fun, and to explain all of this, well, a day trader is somebody who, sits at their computer all day, they get really nerdy with the numbers, and they're holding on a position for maybe only a few hours. A swing trader, however, well, that's somebody who will know when to buy based on news and hype with a reasonable expectation of the direction of the eventual market correction. So in this case, you'd buy the stock when it hits rock bottom, maybe in this case, the 12% down, and then you'd sell when it maybe goes up. So in this case, somebody would have made 3% minus fees of their outlay. So this mixture of swing traders and panic sellers often does lead to a stock not always reflecting its literal value, and that's where the third group comes in, fundamental traders. Now, the most famous fundamentals trainer is the pretty legendary Warren Buffett. Now, they're the kind of people who don't follow immediate headlines. They're more concerned with a really deep analysis of the business and working out their fundamental value and then making decisions based on that. So, do you know what's really interesting about all of this, though? Activision-Blizzard stock targets, they have been slashed across the board, but they are all, well, not all, many of them are still higher than where the stock currently is. The consensus seems to be that they will make it through this rough patch, but that said, there are notable exceptions, such as JP Morgan, who have cut their expectation to $37. So overall, I think that if somebody was to purchase stocks right now for a long position, they probably would end up ahead. But of course, that is only my opinion. Now, this drastic dip in stock price has led to the thing that will have really led to probably most of the clicks on this and similar videos, and that is the securities fraud investigation. Now, one of the best ways to examine events is to examine incentives. So the law firm behind this investigation specialize in securities fraud. Their literal job is to seek out cases where there could be a legitimate case and try to get it going. So in this case, it's a securities fraud investigation on behalf of Activision-Blizzard investors. Now, what is securities fraud? Well, it's a blanket term for the numerous offenses that a company can commit within the financial sort of sector. Now, that includes things like insider trading. The most notable example, though, is probably Elon Musk tweeting funding secured at 420. Now, him tweeting that would have a major effect on the outlook of Tesla's stock, and you could see that as a form of market manipulation. So, in this case with Activision-Blizzard, it seems like the way in which they handled this announcement could be seen as having an unduly strong impact on their stock price, because it was so immediate and so shocking. That could not be fair, or might not be fair to investors, and therefore that would give the law firm the momentum to launch their lawsuit, which of course would make them a lot of money. So right now, it doesn't seem like there's anything as bad as insider trading, and like say execs, selling off their stock just before the announcement, which of course wouldn't be fair because other investors would not, and shareholders would not know, because it would be insider information. So overall, while this may seem big, it could amount to something. It might amount to nothing. It's not a zinger, it's just a natural part of how this whole system works. And while things like this and short selling can seem to many people to be unfair or predatory, ultimately they do fulfill an important market valuation function, and they also do sort of keep companies in check. So that's what's up with the stock and securities fraud situation. We'll just have to see how they pan out over time. The final thing to talk about is just Activision-Blizzard. Now, I'm going to be producing a more in-depth report later, but for now, it's worth talking about just all of this in general. The announcement was clearly a shock to investors. Now, I suspect that Activision-Blizzard announced it in this way, immediately and quickly, rather than trying to contend with weeks of leaks, which would have led to, multiple sort of go through the press cycle. I suspect that they have something in the pipeline for the next 2 years, some sort of replacement within their lineup. I actually don't think they would cut off that much of their revenue 2 years early without something to take its place. And while they do have the revenue through publishing Sekiro and the development of Crash Team Racing, past that, it does look to be a sparse lineup for the company. Now, I have heard rumors of Blackout, the Call of Duty Battle Royale, going free to play. That would make sense, and it could be a major source of revenue, although I cannot imagine its cosmetic monetization being as successful as, I think, the more goofy Fortnite. So they do have that, but when you look at their game lineup, yeah, it seems really sparse. Will they just be Call of Duty plus side projects? Well, I just find that hard to believe, and while there have been no rumors about another major initiative, we know they exited this 2 years early. And my personal speculation is I think they will have something to announce to fill the void, but right now it's impossible to know what it is. Overall, I think they've mostly missed out on the Battle Royale trend. Not as badly as EA, but still pretty badly. Blackout is apparently a fresh and enjoyable take, so while a free-to-play release could be a bit late, I think we also can't discount the possibility of it being a strong, profitable, and efficient performer. They also missed out on the MOBA trend, especially now that Heroes of the Storm has been scaled back to such a degree. I mean, yeah, it's hard to see a trend for them to immediately cash in on, and that means that I would hope that they would be forced to do something innovative, desiring to create a new submarket within gaming that they could try to monopolize on, as companies want to do, but I just don't have that much faith in them, to be honest. And then expanding this over to the other unit of Activision-Blizzard, of course, Blizzard Entertainment, things don't seem to be all rosy. Whatever's cooking for Diablo is likely quite some time off. Overwatch seems to have been struggling as a game, and that is not helped by the constant stream of drama that seems to be emanating from its esports scene. And that's an esports scene that, at least from my position looking at it as a bit of an outsider, it seems like it's a bit of a bubble that is being propped up by corporate money and not really the grassroots. We'll have to see how it develops, but additionally, their focus in esports really seems to have damaged their ability to develop new content for Overwatch, with its content releases being glacial. Analysts have also predicted decreased revenue from other properties such as World of Warcraft and Hearthstone, and while my favorite Blizzard game, StarCraft 2, is great, I doubt it's going to save the day anytime soon because it is just quite niche. Short term, seems rough, there's no doubt about it, but what happens if we think like a fundamentals trader? Because we know that Blizzard have multiple side projects for mobile in the coming years. We know they have Diablo 4. Activision probably will have another stand-in for Destiny. Now, this might not be good for core gamers, right? I don't want Diablo Immortal. I don't really want those other mobile games, but it might be enough of a moneymaker to give them a healthy growth period once those projects come into fruition. So, trying to be analytical, that's what I think. But personally, as somebody who loves video games and loves to play them, yeah, like, man, they mismanaged a lot. And, you know, even with the problems from Bungie existing, Destiny probably would have done better without Activision's meddling in the way that they seem to have, like, managed it. The Blizzard Entertainment situation's also pretty bad short term, and while this might be an okay point to long-term invest in the company, right now, as a consumer, somebody who wants to go and, you know, play a bunch of quality products, I mean, yeah, you know, Destiny seems to be a great place. I've been playing it now. It's not an Activision-Blizzard thing. And as far as Activision's concerned, if I'm not a Call of Duty player, I don't have much to do with their company. Other than, you know, Spyro, which, I mean, I love from growing up, but it is a tricky situation for them. So that's my overall thought and take on it. And that's really it for today's video. Now, at some point, I would like to talk more about the broad plans for this channel, what I want to do. That's something that I'll try to grow organically over time. I will say this, I've been really enjoying writing these videos. They just come naturally to me, really. I just enjoy the writing process and the industry analysis so much. And I mean, yeah, so between this and the World of Warcraft stuff, I'm very busy, but in a very fun, good way. And I guess, yeah, I mean, the more this channel grows, obviously the more I can bring to it. There are some people that I kind of have semi-headhunted that I could part-time hire to help with this channel, should it grow better. So, I mean, if you'd like to see that and you'd like to see me, grow the team for this channel, then I guess, tell your friends about it, and that's probably the best way we can grow. So, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think down below. And with all that, I'll see you next time.